Hello, everyone, and welcome to our virtual tasting here at Everything Wine and More. We've had a bit of a break for the summer, and now we're back. I'm Marcia. I am the wine manager here at the store, and I am pleased to be talking today to Sergio Soriano from, he's living in Miami in the United States, but he is the export manager for Baron de Ley and Coto Diamaz. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and thank you for joining us today here, Sergio.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So all of these wines are from Rioja, and of course we know Rioja as being a quality region within Spain. So talk to us about Rioja just in general and how they got to be as famous as they are today.
Well, first of all, Rioja is located in the north of Spain, so south of Atlantic, like 100 kilometers south of the Atlantic Ocean. And Rioja aligns a number of elements that makes it very special, starting that it has historic area. So already in the days of the Romans established vineyards and wineries in the region. Then Rioja is a valley that is protected, that offers us perfect conditions for grape growing. And well, if I have to define Rioja in a nutshell, I would say that Rioja is the most prominent wine region in Spain. It is not the biggest. It doesn't produce the most expensive wines, but it has the biggest brand awareness as a region world scale. And it's globally recognized as a quality wine growing region that is able to deliver great value and very exciting wines. So it's quite unique. I would say that it's one of the top 5 wine growing regions in the world.
I would agree with you, and it's one of the only regions that has the specific aging designations on the label, like Crianza, Reserva, Gran Reserva. It means something. There's other countries that put that on the label, but it actually means something in Spain. So,
well, you know what? In Rioja is a DOCA, which stands for Qualified Appellation of Origin, and this is awarded to regions with consistent reputation for quality. There are only 2 in Spain, which are Rioja and Priorat or Priorato. And this is a seal of quality. It means that we have an institution called Rioja Board that is going to control every single aspect related to the growing of grapes, making and aging of the wines, to protect the quality of Rioja wine. So whenever you see quality seal of Rioja over here, consumers need to know that there's been many controls and the quality is there. So great appellation of origin. We have a lot of rules. That we have to follow.
Any appellation with those high standards does, of course, right?
It's correct.
Rules when you have those labels on your bottles of wine. So
and as you said, we have a system to classify the wines in relation with their aging times. Though there's been some changes recently, but the wines in Rioja are classified depending on the aging times. Crianza, Reserva, Gran Reserva.
Yes, and we're going to be having some Reserva and Gran Reserva here later.
Correct.
Talk about the aging as we get to these wines in a little bit. So you have a really long history of being an export manager. Working for Grupo Faustino, of course, which is another well-known winery in the region. And then you've been how long now with Baron de Ley?
So since I started in Baron de Ley, I remember the day because it's one of my colleagues' birthday. It's March 6, 2014. So close to 8 years, but you know what? Time flies, and especially when you're enjoying what you do and working for such a great company as Baron de Ley. So almost 8 years in the company. But it seems like I started yesterday. Actually, let me tell you something. Within the export team, I'm the youngest.
Oh, wow.
I mean, when I say the youngest, not in age, but the one that has been less time in the company.
Yes, okay.
All the other colleagues, they've been in the company, some of them for 20 years, some of them for 12, and that says something good about the company.
Good sure. Yeah, I mean, Baron de Ley is a very well-known company, winery from Spain. So, Tell us a little bit about this. I didn't even know that, this was part of Baron de Ley Grupo. So
yeah, so basically we have two leading Rioja wineries. We have on one side, we have El Coto de Rioja, which is nowadays is the Rioja's most sold brand in Spain and one of the top selling brands in the world. And then we have at El Coto de Rioja, we are focused on the production of young whites and rosés and crianza and reserva wine. So our starting point is the crianza, the crianza tier. And when we talk about Baron de Ley is a winery that was founded back in 1985. So I mean, we are like a newly born, only 35 years in the wine industry, which is absolutely nothing. And it was one of the first wineries that was built in the region in a Meadow Chateau style, meaning surrounded by vineyards and working essentially with the state-grown grapes and focusing on the highest quality of Rioja wines, meaning reservas and grand reservas. So if I have to define Baron de Ley is known as a Reserva and Grand Reserva specialist, with 85% of our production being those two, and working essentially with estate-grown grapes. This is a very unique point of difference between our group, the Baron de Ley Group, and other wineries in Rioja, because in Rioja, talking about vineyards, in Rioja, 85% of the land of the vineyards belong to growers. There are more than 16,000 growers in Rioja, and only 15% of the vineyards belong to wineries. So what is the standard practice in the region is that the wineries, they buy the grapes from growers and then they produce the wines. In our case, we have always focused our quality on our estate-grown grapes. So in the case of El Coto de Rioja, when we get to the Reserva and Grand Reserva levels, 100% of the grapes are estate-grown grapes. And in the case of Baron de Ley, almost 100% are estate-grown grapes. So this makes our group the largest viticulture of Rioja. With in Canada, you speak in hectares or acres? You speak in hectares.
Hectares, yeah.
Hectares, okay. Easier for me. So with more than 800 acres in hectares in production, we have our vineyards split in the three different subzones of Rioja: Rioja Alta, Rioja Alavesa, and the Oriental Rioja, the former Rioja Baja. So this makes us the largest viticulture, and also it gives us great control of the grapes which go into our wines. And this is something very unique.
So that 800 hectares you just mentioned, that's all planted with grapes?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of land.
Oh yeah, it is. But it is the biggest asset that we have in the company. For us, the most important thing is the fruit that you put into your wines, and the fact that we are the largest vineyard owners. It gives us great possibilities, and also to experiment with lesser known local grapes. For example, Maturana, that there might be only like 70 hectares in the world. All of them are in Rioja. And Baron de Ley Group, it owns like 60% of those. Then a lot of Graciano as well, White Carnache, Tempranillo, Blanco. So lesser known or less known local grapes from Rioja.
Native grapes, sure. In fact, we have the Maturana here on the shelf as well.
Correct.
And it's actually in the Rioja blends. We think of Tempranillo, Graciano, Mazuelo, but there's usually a little bit of Maturana in there as well, isn't there?
Yes. And actually, we use a little bit of Maturana as well in the blend of our Baron de Ley Reserva.
Yeah.
We add a small percentage. We don't mention on the labels as it's only like 3-4%, something like that. But we complement the Tempranillo with other grapes.
Right. So is there just like one single owner? Is there several owners, or is it would you consider it a co-op, or?
Well, the company, it belongs to in the past, it was a public company. Okay. It was in the Spanish stock market. But since this year, it belongs just to the founder and president of the company, who bought all the shares. So yeah, even though we are, let's say, a medium-sized company, but we are run like the smallest family-owned business that you can imagine.
Okay. So one owner, and it is family-owned. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a family-owned business.
Okay. Yeah,
actually, between you and I still have to send my reports to the president of the company, and he replies to me, and he does the same with all my colleagues. So yeah, the president is very involved in the company.
Nice. Okay. All right. That's good, because I mean I didn't even know myself, so that's a really good thing to know.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into the wines here, Sergio.
Okay.
So we're starting with the 2018 Baron de Ley Blanco here.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Interesting, we don't think of Spain per se, especially Rioja, for white wines. We more think of red wines that come from Rioja, and in some cases are a very tough sell. So what would you say, how can we get people excited about white wines from Rioja?
Well, first of all, you're right, because if we have a look to the production of Rioja, which on average is anything between 280 million liters to 300 million liters per year, 89% will be red wine, 6% will be white wine, and 5% will be rosé wine. But in the last, let's say, 15 years, there's been a movement in the consumption of white wine, not only in Spain, but in the world, with the sales of white wine skyrocketing, in most of the markets. And at that time, Rioja had a small share of that. So even the Rioja board, which is quite strict, in order to develop the Rioja white category further, they opened the door, to authorize new grapes, to produce white Rioja. In the old days, before 2008, we were only allowed to produce white Rioja with 3 local grapes, with a Viura, white Grenache, and Malvasia. But since since 2008, there were a number of new grapes that were authorized. Some of them local to Rioja, and some of them international grapes, and some of them foreign grapes for Rioja, but from Spain, like for example Verdejo that we have in this Baron de Ley Blanco, and that was Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, and that was with the purpose of developing the white Rioja category further. So there is a good potential for white Rioja. The classic white Rioja, you think, is classic Viuras that can be aged in oak for a number of years, and those are great. But a new, more, let's say, fruit-driven, more fresher style of white wines have been produced in Rioja in the last 15 years. So now we are all very excited, and actually our group is one of the leading groups in the white Rioja category. Between the two wineries, we might have anything around 20 to 25% market share of the total white Rioja category. So for us, is a key category. The white that we have today is the Baron de Ley Blanco 2018. Mm-hmm. First of all, this is what we call Vino Joven, young wine that has not been aged in oak, and we are talking about 2018. So it's a young wine that has been in the bottle for 2 years already. So this wine is made with 2 grapes. First, we have Viura from the Atlantic part of Rioja. This Viura is coming from the town of Arenzana, and we are talking probably about some of the oldest Viura plantations in the whole of Rioja. And this Viura is complemented with 15% of Verdejo, which is a recently authorized grape in Rioja. And this Verdejo is coming from our Carbonera state, which is located in the eastern part of Rioja, or the Mediterranean part of Rioja, but it happens to be the highest altitude vineyard in the whole of Rioja, and is perfect for the production of white wines. Mm-hmm. So we blend the Viura with the Verdejo, as the Verdejo is going to add some aromatic expression and freshness to the blend. Mm-hmm. Talking about this beautiful white wine, this Viura has been in the bottle for 2 years, so we're gonna experience some novel evolution of this Viura, which is going to add more complexity to the wine and more volume to the wine. Even though this wine hasn't been aged in oak, but it's been fermented in concrete tanks. Okay. So it's gonna add some tertiary aromas and some novel evolution and greater complexity. Huh?
Yeah, for sure. When I first opened it, I got a hint of petrol, which blew off after a while, and that I love Verdejo, and we usually mostly see Verdejo from Ribera del Duero. So this is the first time I've actually heard of it being in a Rioja blend. So it really does increase the freshness of this blend, I think.
It does. Actually, it does. So this is a wine that is showing quite mature fruit, some dry nuts as well, like dry flowers, and some novel aromatic herbs. Some laurel comes out as well.
Yeah. So this wine, for those of you that are watching our video, is $17.99. So incredible value for this white wine. And of course, we with our virtual tastings, we offer 10% off of our wines here. So if you'd like to pick up a bottle and follow along with us and taste, we would love that. So
excellent. Yeah, I think that it's a beautiful white wine. It's a perfect expression of the Viura, and it's a let's say a joven made with very old vines. Grapes coming from some of the oldest Viura vines that we have in Baron de Ley.
Nice. So yeah, Viura, of course, really changing the style. Definitely in Rioja used to be that really oxidative style, and I really like how wineries and winemakers are making it more of a fresher style, more approachable. And,
we have a combination of both right now. We made another white wine at Baron de Ley called the Baron de Ley Tres Viñas, which is available as well. It's a wine made in a more oxidative way, in the old days. It's a wine that we age in American oak barrels, like a tribute, to the old days of making white wines in the region, and it's incredible. So you have both. You have more traditional white wine styles from the region and more modern, searching more for the fruit and the freshness. So Rioja has a tremendous potential for white wines as well. We have all the conditions to produce excellent white wines, even though we are known to be a red wine region. But you'll see more white wines in the future in the market.
Right. And then the other a bit of anomaly from Rioja is Rosado. So we don't see a lot of that in our market either. And so there's two pink wines. There's the Lagrima, which is more of a Provence style, a lighter red, which we do not have here at the store. Instead, we have this fuller bodied, really richer in color. You can see that gorgeous color there of the 2020 Rosado. So let's talk about this. And
this is a very interesting one. Okay, so the biggest discussion that we have at the winery is about the color of the rosé. Is the biggest one, because in the last year there's been a trend to produce more, let's say, Provence look-alike roses, more paler in color, and we are in an international brand that we sell our wines in more than 60 markets. So we have to decide what to do. So we took the easy route, and so we produced two different style of roses. One more in the pale, one that is paler, more in the Provence look-alike, and this one that we have today, which is more a traditional Rioja style of rosé. In this one, we have Tempranillo together with a small percentage, a small percentage of Garnacha and Graciano as well. Okay. So the three grapes are coming from a state called Los Almendros, which is located in the eastern part of Rioja, Rioja Oriental. Los Almendros is very special because it happens to be the largest vineyard in the whole of Rioja in one single piece, with 300 hectares in production. To produce this wine, we vinified the three grapes separately, okay, independently, and we use two different elaboration methods, okay? So for the Tempranillo, what we do is that we use only the free run juice. But for the Garnacha and the Graciano, we will do some direct pressing. So we combine the balance and fatness and volume given by the free run juice with the freshness that will be given by this direct pressing of the Graciano and Garnacha. The grapes are fermented in concrete tanks as well. Like in the old days, concrete tanks were very popular in Rioja until the 80s. Then stainless steel came, and now we're going back to tradition. So, but using fermenting the grapes in these concrete tanks, it really helps to preserve the wine's aromatic expression. Yeah. And also something that is very important for this one is that to produce this rosé, we select the grapes. It's not that we use grapes that then we're going to use for that don't use for the reds. No, we make a special selection looking for certain parameters that will reflect in fresher style of rosés with lower pH and with a greater acidity. So there is a selection. Looking at the wine, if you look at the color, it has the traditional appearance of a Riojan traditional rosé. So yeah.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, so it's like a red cherry color, with also with some violet hues. Then on the nose, the wine really displays red berries, aromas, red fruit. It comes out to the fore, with also some balsamic and flowery notes as well.
Yeah, definitely floral. I'll get some watermelon on this too, which is really nice. Yeah. Yeah, this is very much a food wine for sure. But I think this is beautiful. This is I drink this.
If I have to describe this wine in a few words, I would say that it's fresh, round, good volume, and it has a slight bitter finish that makes it a wine that you can perfectly match with food. So very gastronomic as well. So this wine is very versatile. It's perfect with food. I can think of some Asian cuisine. I can think of some rice-based dishes, pastas, salads, white meats, and also it's a perfect wine to enjoy on its own.
And it is only $16.99. It's a
value.
steal of a deal. So
I forgot to mention, in our philosophy, we always try to over-deliver with the quality. So produce excellent wines at reasonable prices. So.
That's Spain for me. I always tell it's quality value ratio is huge for Spanish wines.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay, so
next
one.
one.
We're going to talk about these two wines a little bit more together since they're the reds and we're running out of time. So we're into Reserva and Gran Reserva.
Okay, so correct. So I have the wines over here as well.
Which is levels of aging. So let's talk about the levels of aging in Reserva versus Gran Reserva.
Okay, so in Rioja, which differs from other appellations for in Spain, a wine to be classified as Reserva is a wine that requires 3 years of aging between the barrels and the bottle, with a minimum of 1 year of aging in the barrel and 6 months in the bottle. Then you can decide whether you prefer to age your wine longer in the barrel or longer in the bottle. In the case of the Baron de Ley Reserva 2015, this is a wine that is aged for 20 months, and the most 85% of the time in American oak barrels, 15% in French oak barrels, and then the wine, following the Rioja aging regulations, goes through a further aging in the bottle for 24 months. On the other hand, we have the Gran Reserva from our sister company, El Coto de Rioja, which Gran Reserva in Rioja, it requires 5 years of aging between the barrels and the bottle, with a minimum of 2 years in the barrel. Now, let's get a little bit into the first one. This beautiful Baron de Ley Reserva, which is the flagship of Baron de Ley. Remember when I said that 85% of our production goes to the Reservas and Gran Reservas? So this is 100% Tempranillo, with the grapes coming from the oriental or eastern part of Rioja, 100% hand harvested. At the arrival at the winery of the grapes, we make the grapes go through a sorting table where 5 to 10% of the grapes are rejected. So only the best fruit is going to be part of our Baron de Ley Reserva. Before the alcoholic fermentation, there is a short called maceration to enhance the fruity character of the wine. Alcoholic fermentation takes place in stainless steel tanks with daily pump overs and controlled temperatures. And in this wine, we search for perfect balance between the volume of the wine on the palate and its fruity character. I have to say that after the alcoholic fermentation, there is a short cold maceration after the fermentation to gain more structure. This wine is going to be submitted to long period of aging, both in the barrels and in the bottle. The Baron de Ley Reserva displays red ruby color, which is quite typical of the reservas of the area.
So this one is 6 years old. Keep that in mind.
On the nose, it has a medium high in aromatic intensity with some nuances from its oak aging. Some notes of coconut and vanilla comes out together with red fruits, more mature fruit, and also some spicy notes.
For sure. There's
And on the palate, the wine is very powerful. It has a powerful attack, but it's fresh with rounded tannins, with fruit and oak nuances, with the oak being there but not dominating the wine. And with a great acidity, which is telling us that this wine is going to age beautifully.
For sure. And this wine certainly needs no introduction or no help. This is a very hot selling wine. We sell a lot of it here in the store. And for $23.99, you can't beat the quality of this Baron de Ley Reserva. So 100% Tempranillo, a bit of a signature grape for Rioja for sure. And even some little leather notes that are emerging in this wine too, the coming out, which is really.
I would say that it's a very attractive wine with great drinkability, being a Reserva, but with great drinkability, and also with certain complexity. And it's perfect to match with food as well. And the last one.
And our Grand Reserva, we're at 9 years old for this one here again.
Well, I forgot to mention that in Alberta we still have the 2015 vintage of the Reserva, which received great awards. 92 points in Wine Spectator, 92 points in Decanter, and one of the top wines of the year in 2020 in Decanter. So really high ratings and reviews for this one. Let's talk about the Coto de Math Grand Reserva 2012. Okay, so here we're talking about Grand Reserva that is made of Tempranillo grapes and Graciano. Both varieties, they come from some of the oldest Vus vines that we have in the Atlantic part of Rioja or Rioja Alta in the town of Cenicero. This is a wine that we don't produce every year, so only in the very good or extraordinary vintages. There is a selection of the grapes already in the vineyards, and when the grapes arrive to the winery, there is another selection. This is a wine that we age for 2 years in 1 year in new French oak barrels and 1 year in new American oak barrels, with the malolactic fermentation taking place in the barrel, with the idea of giving a little bit more of a roundness and creaminess to the wine on the palate. And then the wine rests in the bottle for a minimum of 3 years. It's always more, but a minimum of 3 years in order to comply with the Rioja aging regulations.
So how much Graciano is in here? This is a blend of.
We're talking about anything between 8 to 10%.
Okay, so very low percentage, but it just really.
But it helps. It helps because firstly, because when you think of long aging potential wines like Reserva and Grand Reserva, Graciano is a very good blending grape to complement the Tempranillo. It's going to help it with the acidity. It's bringing good acidity, and the acidity is key, to keep the wines alive with the time. In the old days, in Rioja, we used to blend Viura with Tempranillo for the Grand Reserva because of the same. But then we discovered that Graciano, which name comes from the grace, Graciano grace, that it brings to the blends of the Grand Reservas. So yeah, we use this Graciano that is beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. And look at this, people, like 97 points decanter.
Yeah, so we are delighted that this quality was recognized at the Decanter World Wine Awards back in 2019. Bringing home the best in show and 97 points. And also was the number 9 in the Wine Enthusiast Top Wines of the Year 2020.
Yeah.
So
Fabulous.
yeah, really, yeah. And this is if I have to describe this Grand Reserva, it's a textbook Grand Reserva from Rioja. It has everything that you expect from a beautiful Grand Reserva from the region. It's a wine of that is mature, elegant. It's a wine with great complexity and exceptional concentration as well. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful.
Got tons of time left on it too. Like you could age this even longer.
I mean, you can lie this one down for another 15 years with no problem. Minimum.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
But
and for $40, you can't beat that.
It's a massive value, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So again, that was a real quick overview. I know of Baron de Ley, but I do hope that you come in and buy some of these wines because they're absolutely exceptional quality and just great value from this fantastic winery, Baron de Ley in Rioja, and again in a quality region of Spain. So Sergio, is there any other final words that you would like to share with us?
Well, yeah, as you said, I will encourage your friends and consumers to go to the store and try some of these wines, and the value that you're gonna find over here is absolutely great. And I'm looking forward to having the opportunity of visiting your market. I normally go to Alberta 2 or 3 times a year, but with COVID, my visits have been restricted, but I can wait to be there and probably organize one of these tastings at the store as I did in the past.
That sounds fantastic. So thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Bye.